Oh, first I just want to thank you for meeting with me, honestly. I really appreciate you taking your time out of your busy day to meet with me.
It's a pleasure, Jenny.
Thank you. I want to start off, if you could give me a little bit on your background and how you founded Pioneer Millworks. And did you also found the sister company?
We started New Energy Works first as a way to build homes that would last a long time and would be super insulated. After a little bit, I realized that the wood that I was using isn't exactly the wood I wanted to use for some, wood geek reasons, like it was wet and it moved and it was sustainable, but it wasn't exactly what a woodworker would want to use because there was shrinkage involved. It was fresh sawn.
Yeah.
Eventually we landed on reclaimed wood. And we landed on that because, in a funny sort of way, it landed on us. Our building collapsed on a late April snow. It was a borrowed old shack, frankly, when we were very new at this whole thing. In that Sunday afternoon, we were all pulling off these big beams off of our truck and off of our equipment. And about that time, we were working with an old English couple. And literally, they were kind of elderly and they were English. And they came by and said, "Wow, look at that old wood. Why don't we use that for our cottage?" And I said, "Geez, why would we use that? I mean, here in America, everything's got to be new and shiny." And they said, no, in England, we're used to reclaimed wood. In fact, even older buildings like Winchester Cathedral was built 500 years ago or so with using wood that was 200 years old before that in some other building. We're used to that. It adds character. It really was sort of a surprising revelation to us. But what it did do immediately is it fit a particular need of looking for stable wood because it had been around for a long time.
Yeah. And
it also fit the story we were trying to tell. Like, we're all part of a continuum. There's something comes before us, something comes after us. We've learned since then that reclaimed wood just does an amazing job of making people immediately feel more relaxed at home as part of the whole, that whole life thing.
Mm-hmm.
It told a story, but it was also ecological.
So, kind of building off that, what is the mission then? You had talked about the triple bottom line. Do you want to explain to other people what that means?
Sure. It's nothing we made up. The triple bottom line is just a different way of looking at business and running a business. We think of Wall Street, that it's all about the bottom line. And for them, it's only one bottom line, which is the economic ramifications of earnings for the next quarter. They're not even allowed to look a year or 2 years or 10 years ahead for really good investments. So they have to think short term and they have to think monetarily only. In a closely held corporation, a private corporation like ours, we can think any way we want. And for us, we've made a big choice. We've made a choice of equally weigh the value of the triple bottom line. And for us, that's people, planet, and profit. People, we try to treat ourselves as well as we can, our clients, the community, focus on their health and well-being in all sorts of ways. Planet, that's pretty obvious. Our buildings are high-performing, environmentally conscious buildings with as thoughtfully resourced materials as we can get. They'll impact the community in positive ways for as long as possible. Even our own facilities, it's heated by much of our scraps. Our kiln is run by our scraps. We have 400 solar panels on the roof of our main building in New York. Out here we don't have those yet, but we're certainly hoping to move in that direction as soon as possible. So we're always thinking about the ramifications of what we do from an environmental aspect.
That's awesome.
And for profit, we just believe that without a solid financial footing, without good business practice, then we can't be around to do good things for people and the planet. So, that's just a critical part of the triple bottom line, that three-legged stool that we rest on.
Was there a big sustainability focus when you began these companies back then?
There really was. New Energy Works started as a specific reaction to the original Arab oil embargo of the mid to late 70s. In some ways, for people like me who were a bit on the progressive side or certainly not as interested in business as usual, It was our Vietnam, you could say. Vietnam was over. I was too young to protest that. So what was the next big cause for me? It was the environment. And it never has lost its interest because it's continually under major attack. So in the early 80s, there was a story that was told. We were installing solar panels and, again, looking at ways to build buildings that were super environmentally sound. And that made a lot of sense. The information that we had available then is the same information we have available now. Sadly, in the mid-80s, when, in this example, Ronald Reagan came to power, he dismantled much of the effort that was being made. Mm-hmm. It's arguable that if we had just followed the environmental policies of Jimmy Carter, we would be in a significantly better place today. But those were all dismantled, both actually with tax incentives and et cetera being killed in 1985, that killed the solar industry at that time, but also symbolically. He famously took the solar panels off the White House that Jimmy Carter had put on.
Yeah.
It's inexcusable. So for a long time there was not as much push for environmental interest. The SUV came back strong, if you remember that time. I was certainly we stayed the course. And I always would tell people, yeah, I know you've come to me for a beautiful home, but you're also going to get the most environmentally sound home we can get you, whether you want it or not. People would nod and be polite about it, but it wasn't in the minds of everybody like it is today, like it needs to be today.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any statistics that kind of represent the impact that your company has, maybe on the number of resources that you save every year by coming here, or the carbon footprint, or...
We are actually starting a carbon footprint analysis of both the companies and our houses coming up. It's pretty complex, and so I don't have anything for you right now. I will tell you that we have, since the inception of Pioneer Millworks, we've saved over 26 million board feet of reclaimed wood. So just to picture that, if you put that on tractor trailers and put the tractor trailer bumper to bumper in a straight line, it'd be over 30 miles long of tractor trailers full of reclaimed wood. It's wood that isn't in a landfill. It's trees that weren't cut down. So that's good stuff. Yeah.
I like that. And do you have a place where people can donate their wood? Like if they're like, hey, we're going to be demolishing our house,
Yeah, I think the Rebuilding Center up on Mississippi, if this is specifically local to Oregon.
And did other cities typically have places like that too?
A lot of them do. We just, for instance, helped sponsor a conference on the Building Materials Reuse Association, the BMRA, and you can find them at, I think, bmra.org. And they have members all over the country who run organizations like the Rebuilding Center.
And what partnerships do you have that are crucial for your success as a company?
Great question. There are partnerships every day with every person around you. Mm-hmm. And so our partnerships are with our clients, our partnerships are with demolition contractors who we work with to get the wood out, our partnerships are among ourselves. It really is all a big partnership, isn't it? And on that note, one of the things we're doing right now is we're taking the steps towards turning the companies into worker-owned companies. We're using the Employee Stock Ownership Program, which is an ESOP. And so, we believe in partnerships even among our coworkers here moving forward. So partnerships are just happening. That's just a mental state as much as it is an actual reality, I think.
Yeah. Good perspective. So I know I'd kind of talked with Jonathan about you do more of the fine woodworking on the East Coast, but are there any unique projects that you've gotten to work on that stick out to you in your memory in your time doing this?
There are thousands. Every one of our projects is unique, and I say that not to be glib, but we really do crazy stuff. In both our New Energy Works, which is a design-build company using big timbers, to every one of the floors and paneling that we put up. So fun projects is recently the Centennial Mills building up on just north of the Pearl District came down. We were able to salvage all the beams from there,
wow.
turning that into some stunning clear vertical grain Douglas fir. Normally, clear vertical grain comes from old growth trees. Well, this now gives you an opportunity to get clear vertical grain from reclaimed wood, which is not common. The grade of the timbers tended to be very high. Very excited about that. On the New Energy Works side, we've got a really fun hand community raising of a timber frame down in Mount Angel at the monastery at St. Benedict in Mount Angel down near Silverton in a couple weeks, where we're helping them design and build their new brewery.
Oh, that's cool.
That's in the old monastery tradition of brewing beer. They're starting it in Sirius, and they're already doing it on a smaller scale. Delicious beer. So now they're going to move up to the next level, and we're raising a timber frame brewery for them on November 11th.
I guess, like, how did you connect with those consumers? Like, a lot of people find you online, or like?
Yeah, the web is a very powerful tool, and it's a really good introduction. But because we're so unique and so high touch, our real strength is that we're very hands-on. We're working with our clients, whether they're residential end users or design professionals specifying and trying to figure stuff out. We really are very in your face, at your desk, trying to solve the problems with you. And that seems to have been a good process for us, at least.
It's like, what would be your best piece of advice for entrepreneurs and business owners and individuals to go out and live a sustainable life?
And nobody's going to do a perfect job, but everybody needs to do a lot better. So I think what we're seeing today is important, and hopefully not too late. And so there are many ways we can. Be thoughtful on what we eat, more sustainable sourcing of the food, that's huge. We can be much more thoughtful in how we build homes, which is where I come in, which is where many of my coworkers come in. We can be thoughtful in the cars we drive. Will we do it quick enough? I don't know. That's above my pay grade.
Yeah.
Resist.
Okay.
And move on .org, and the millions of opportunities, to get out there in the streets. And not all my own clients agree with me, but certainly I'm vocal about how I feel right now. You asked about should we be pessimistic or worried because of the leadership that we have that doesn't even believe in climate change as though it's some sort of religion. Truth is, when we get people like you in here who are really focused on making a difference, that's where the hope is. That's what I say.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Jonathan.
Perfect.